देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविडं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं गुरुदेव देव. Hari Om. We just completed the 13th chapter of Panchadasi of Vidyaranyas, and the 13th chapter contained the Brahmanande Advaita Ananda, where the nature of infinite happiness is same as the happiness that one gets in the Advaita state. One gets in Advaita state when you are in the deep sleep state. Also one gets Advaita in the waking state by recognizing I am not this, but I am pure, self-conscious, self-existent, that is limitless entity, and therefore in spite of the apparent duality I am one alone. That is the theme of the Upanishads, because in the 7th mantra of the Mandukya it says Nanta pragyam na bhai pragyam no bhayata pragyam na pragyana ghanam na pragyam and adrushtam avyaharyam and so on. Ultimately it comes to says, so the prapanchopashamam shantam advaitam chaturtam manyante. That is the nature of Advaita. Advaita means I am seeing the duality, but the duality that I am seeing is not reality. So it is a negation of the duality. I can only negate if there is a duality. I cannot negate non-existent things. So I am dismissing Vanjaputraha. See, I am negating, there is no Vanjaputra. There cannot be any Vanjaputra, because Vanjaputra means son of a barren woman. So non-existent things I cannot negate, and I cannot negate that which eternally existing. I can only negate only Mithya. Mithya means that appears to be there but it's not really there. So whatever I can negate, because I can only negate by knowing the reality behind that appearance. So if I see a snake there where the rope is, I can dismiss the snake once I know that it's not a snake but it is a rope. I got mistaken that it is a snake only because I am not able to see clearly that which is underlying the truth. So adhishtanam is the rope, but I am projecting something different from what it is. Why am I projecting? Because I don't know the rope. Who is projecting? The one who does not know the reality projects something else. So it is the mind supported by the consciousness projects based on sadrishyam. Sadrishyam is similarity, that I am seeing a snake. I don't see an elephant there. I am only seeing a snake, because the snake and rope are somewhat similar in terms of it is soft, it is lying down on the aisle, and it is around 5 feet long, and it is long and thin just like a rope. So rope and a snake can be confused, but the rope and elephant cannot be confused because there is no sadrishyam. In the same way, I am taking the world as real because I do not know the substantive, that is the Brahman. But why don't I see substantive? Because seeing substantive, it means it is perception. I cannot see because it is not a finite thing, it is infinite. Therefore, it is imperceptible. Therefore, people ask, show me God. So I cannot show God. If I show God, then he is not a God or she is not a God. Because any God that you see has to be finite, because I am able to see that differentiates something which is not God, which means that the God itself gets finitized, and if it is finitized, if the word like finitized, then God ceases to be a God, because God is infinite. But I can invoke him any form, because every form is his form. I can invoke him from the bhakti point, so that the mind can have ekagrata, means single pointed devotion. So I can invoke him in the form of any Ishta Devata. That's what we do in the puja. Asmin bimbe mahaganapatin avahayami. So you put a turmeric paste there and, oh Lord Ganesha, please come here. From then on, once you invite him, Lord is everywhere, so he invites him, he comes down, and you, what do you see is only the turmeric paste, but you have in your mind, it is now Ganesha, and you do all the puja thinking that it's only Ganesha. After puja is over, you can ask him to leave, because now you can discard that the bimbam, that is the form that is used temporarily. Just as we are using a form like a flag for representing the nation, even though flag is only a cloth, but we can invoke the presence of the nation in that. So same way we can invoke that infinite in any form, but that's only for upasana. So once I recognize that I am infinite, aham brahmasmi, I can still duality, but I can negate the reality that I superimpose on duality. So what happens? It is only mithya. Mithya will not affect me. If the paper tiger, I am not afraid of the paper tiger, because it's not a real tiger. Only paper tiger in the form of a paper. So I can play with it in the same way that there is no real Brahman there. It's apparently world. There is no real reality to the world. So the apparent things do not cause any problem. How did apparent came? It came because of the Maya Shakti. So what is Maya Shakti? Is it different from Brahman? It's same as Brahman and part of the Brahman only, but one Brahman appears to be many. So there has to be a driving force, and the driving force is termed as the Maya Shakti. All that was discussed in the last chapter, 13th chapter. Now we are entering into the 14th chapter, where knowledge as Jiva has to recognize that it is Brahman. How do I recognize? This is, for that you go to a teacher. That's what scripture says. Tad vijnanartam sa gurum eva abhigached. So teacher alone, eva means alone. So don't go and read the scriptures by yourself, because you will be thoroughly confused, because the scripture is a mystic language, and therefore one has to approach a teacher who himself studied the scriptures under a competent teacher from his teacher. So he knows the scriptures, he knows the hidden meaning of the scriptures or the implied meaning of it, and that's called lakshyartha, not vachyartha, not the word meaning. Word meaning you can get from the dictionary, but lakshyartha, that is indicatory meaning, and that he knows. Just like I want to learn quantum mechanics, if I go and sit in the class, I see only some alphabets there. E is equal to mc squared. I understood. What is I understood? I know what is E, I know what is C, I know M. So that is not the study of the relative mechanics. I need to know the implication of that. It is a profound. In order to get that, I need to go through the training for what exactly E stands for, what exactly M stands for, and what exactly C stands for, what a square means, and what that equation really implies, and all that is required to understand the simple equation. Same way, Tattvamasi, you are that, a simple equation, but I should know what is the equation implies. I should know what is Tat and what is Tvam and what is the Asi implies. Same way, all that has to be studied under a competent teacher. So that is the knowledge that has to be gained. It's not any objective knowledge. This is the knowledge knowing which you know everything. That's how the student in the Upanishads says, Kasminno bhagavo vijñāte sarvavidam vijñātam bhavati. Oh sir, please teach me that knowledge knowing which I know everything. And that knowledge is the substantive knowledge, the knowledge of the adhara, that is the supporting knowledge of the whole universe is supported, and other things is changing. If I know that, then everything is known. But unfortunately, I cannot know this as an object. See, just as chemistry, I can know this is chemistry, this is physics. I cannot say this is Brahman, because that Brahman is both include the subject and the object together is one, and for that I need a very subtle mind and redirect my mind in the pointed direction. Now this chapter, the 14th chapter, talks about the one who has gone through this teaching and one who has learned this, having the vidya, that means the Vedantic knowledge, and Vedantic knowledge by knowing which you know everything. That means everything is nothing but Brahman. And by Vedantic knowledge, one has understood the Brahman knowledge. It's not an understanding of Brahman, because understanding will be I am that Brahman, because Brahman being infinite cannot exclude I am. And I know I am existent and consciousness, and Brahman is defined as existent and consciousness. Existent consciousness cannot be limited, so there is only one existent consciousness, and that is the knowledge. So here the title of this chapter 14 is Brahmanande Vidyanandaha. So what is that I can gain by the knowledge of this Brahma Vidya? And that is same as Brahmananda. So knowledge itself is the Ananda. So knowledge is what is to be known. By knowing it, I am going to be happy. I am going to be infinitely happy. So the knowledge itself leads me to the infinite happiness. I am looking for happiness in the objects. There I am separate from the object, different. I don't need to know, but I can enjoy the object. If I give a cup of beautiful fruit, I enjoy the beauty of the fruit and not knowing what the name of the fruit. Whereas here, with knowledge of the Brahman itself is happiness, whereas the knowledge of knowing some mango doesn't give me any happiness. There I had to experience the mango and enjoy the mango, then only I get happiness. So there is a difference in object happiness and the knowledge of the objective world compared to this Ananda called Vidyananda. So we are talking about not the objective knowledge, but the knowledge of the Brahman, and that's what is being pointed out in this chapter. Let's chat the verse 1. Yogena atma vivekena dvaitamichyatva chintaya brahmananda pasyatotha vidyanando nirupyate. Together, yogena atma vivekena dvaitamichyatva chintaya brahmananda pasyatotha vidyanando nirupyate. So yogena, by Yogananda, that's what we are talking about, by contemplating in that, by yoking the mind towards that. Atma vivekena, by discriminative faculty. So here we are using the knowledge viveka, that is an intellectual avagation. So using the intellect, I had to know that Aham Brahmasmi. So some people say you have to go beyond the intellect, beyond this is all intellectual discussions and all that. All that means is they have not understood what exactly involved. Here I have to use the intellect to recognize what is real and what's not real, and reject the unreal, because real and unreal occur all the time together. This is the problem. So the problem is that if I can see Brahman separately from all that, there is no problem. Brahman and Abrahman or Atma and Anatma occur together, and there is no Anatma without Atma. Atma provides the support for Anatma. Just as there is no ring without a gold. Ring has to be there with the gold. So every time any form I see, the gold is. So how do I distinguish? I have to use a subtle intellect, separate with the intellectually. The gold is different from a ring, gold is different from a bangle, the gold in the ring is same as gold in the bangle. So even though ring and the bangles are different, I had to use a viveka. Viveka is goldsmith viveka, to know or to recognize oneness that involved in all the ornaments. So gold appears to be many, but in the many I am only seeing akara. Akara means shapes and forms. But in and through akara, I have to recognize the presence of the gold. Gold it was, gold it is, gold it will be. Gold has not gone any transformation, only transformationless transformation to become ornaments, varieties and varieties of ornaments. The utility, transactability, applicability, all abilities or belong to the Namarupas and not to the gold. Same way, the whole universe, different forms are there, that they exist, they are conscious and Ananda. All the three are there, inherent in every object, even though I do not recognize them. All I am seeing is only external name and a form. I see external form exist, and that existence only I can see in the form of particular one. I cannot recognize even the life also for living. I can only see a human being in the form, and I know he is alive because he is walking and doing all sorts of things. But what exactly life? I don't know. That's because of the presence of the consciousness that is enlivened in the body is alive. So by Viveka, so I use cognitively, intellectually, I have to separate that which is real and which is unreal. So Atma Vivekana, and establish myself that I am that Atma, I am this, because all my biodata is I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. But I cannot be this. I am a subject and this is an object. So by using a Viveka, because I am always this, I cannot separate these two, the physically, or even I can only cognitively separate I am part from this part and shift my attention to I am part. So Yogena Atma Vivekena Dvaita Michyatva Chintaya. So whatever I see, the duality is only mithya. Mithya means that is neither real nor unreal. So real is that which does not undergo any change. And since the ring can become a bangle, bangle become a necklace, so ring is not really real and there is no ringly substance there that permanent. So it is only gold appearing in the form of a ring. So form can change into a bangle form and a necklace form without changing the substantive. That is the adhara, adhishthanam, or the gold. So what is changing is only namam, name for a form, and the whole world is called nama rupa only. So that becomes a mithya. Mithya is that which has only name and a form. And Dvaitam Michyatva Chintaya. So the whole Dvaita means the whole duality or plurality is nothing but Mithya. So Advaita involves Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. The world that I am seeing is Mithya. Michyatva Chintaya. So that has to be contemplated upon. So Dvaita Michyatva Chintaya, by inquiring into the illusory nature of the world, so one has to arrive at what is Atma Vivekena, the absolute truth. So this is the knowledge we are talking about. But so inquiring the illusory nature of the pluralistic world, Atha now Brahmanandam Pashyati, one can see the Brahmananda, infinite happiness. How can you see? It's seeing means one experiences. Again, it's not an experience. When one recognizes that I am happy as I am, we don't say I have happiness. Even in colloquially or even this, are you happy? Yes, I am happy. Don't say I am having happiness. The I am happy means I am equal to happy. That means my state, my natural state is happiness. Only when I identify what I am not as I am, I get the limitations of this, and those limitations causes suffering for me. So the problem of suffering is not because of something, because of not knowing who I am. That's what is going to be discussed here. So Brahmanandam Pasyati Adhaha. So what I had to do? I had to use a discriminative intellect to separate the world from myself. So Adhishtanam, I am the very support for them, but at the same time what I am rejecting is only Nama Rupa only, because I cannot reject the substantive. I am only rejecting the ring and the ring name and its attributes, not the gold. So I can keep the gold, you can have the ring if you want. So what I am rejecting is only superficial names and forms. The value of the ring depends upon the gold content, not on the ring size. And those are superficial costs. Actual cost, if you go to goldsmith, he will tell you that it is the cost of that depends upon the weight, the gold weight. Oh, this is more, this you should give, this has a more cost because this is my wedding ring and I have so much. That is your emotional value on top of the ring, but the ring is only, value of the ring depends only on the gold. That's your problem. You are superimposing your personal weight on top of it. So that's a different here. So here Brahmanandi Pasyata Vijyanando Nirupyate. So by knowing who I am, that knowledge will give you the Brahmananda. It is Nirupyati, established. So what is exactly the Vijyananda? Either you talk about how do I get the happiness, how do I get this knowledge? Remember, Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurum eva abhigacche sotriyam brahmanishtam. That's what Upanishad says. For that knowledge, go to a teacher who is well established in this knowledge and has learned this knowledge from the teacher, Shrotriyaha and Brahmanishtaha. So these two qualifications of the teacher are specified, and I do not know how to judge an individual whether he is Brahmanishta or not, but I can know that whether he knows the Shastras or not by listening to him and inquiring who is his teacher and from whom he learned and all that. From that I can gather that he is a Shrotriyaha, and from the Shrotriya I can get the knowledge. So we'll do second mantra. Vishaya Anandavat Vijyanandaha, Vishaya Anandavat Vijyanandaha, Dhivrutti Rupakaha, Dhivrutti Rupakaha, Dukkha Bhavadi Rupena, Dukkha Bhavadi Rupena, Prokta Esha Chaturvidaha, Prokta Esha Chaturvidaha. Together. Vishaya Anandavat Vijyanandaha, Dhivrutti Rupakaha, Dukkha Bhavadi Rupena, Prokta Esha Chaturvidaha. So this Vidya is also like any other knowledge appears to be. So how do I learn the Vedanta? Go to a class, go to a teacher, and there you study just like any other subject, you study Vedanta. And there it appears as though I am studying chemistry or physics and all that. So here Vishayanandavatu, it's like bliss of objects, though the happiness that I get is similar to the enjoyment of the worldly objects. So when I enjoy a particular object, I am happy. So it looks like that because when I am enjoying, my mind is in a contentment. That means I am peaceful in those moments. Therefore, attribute that happiness to the object because I have desire for the object, desire due to the vasanas, and the desire is essentially now contributing to the agitations in the mind. I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, so on. And that agitations get subsided when I have what I wanted. At that time, those moments, my mind is calm and serene, and the Brahmananda gets reflected depending upon the calmness and serenity that the mind has. So the happiness that I get from each object depends upon the intensity of the reflection, and the intensity of the reflection depends upon how calm, quiet, serene, and how long also. So Vishayanandavatu Vijyananda. So Vijyananda also, it looks like similar to objective satisfaction that I learned this, I'm happy. People complain, people say, oh, I have already finished Bhagavad Gita, I'm so happy, I finished this text, I finished that text, and people graduate and also proud of that they have finished so many texts also. So Vishayanandavatu Vidyanandaha. Dhivrutti Rupakaha. It is of the form of Dhivrutti. Dhivrutti means it is a knowledge that is gained through Vrutti Vyapti. That means by thinking about it only, I am going to get the knowledge of the Vedanta. So there are a lot of discussion groups where people use the intellect logically and try to argue, and any bhashyas, if you look, there is objections, counter objections and siddhantas. So these are all involved intellectual arguments. That is what is dhivrutti, to establish what is the truth. And when once I know the truth, and with all that information I gather which is not truth, and establish myself in the correct understanding, and that is called dhivrutti rupakaha. So vrutti vyapti is there. We'll discuss that. Dukkha bhavadi rupena. So it is similar to dukkha bhava. So any objective knowledge involves dukkham, means the happiness on any object involves dukkham. What are dukkham there? It's called doshatrayam. There are three the defects in any happiness that you get from outside. What are the three defects? This is essentially the dukkha mishritatvam and asantruptikaram and bandhakatvam. It's mixed with the suffering. That is called dukkham, is bhavadi rupena. So how is the mishram? Because struggle in gaining that, struggle in preserving that, and struggle if you lose it. So that is what essentially involved in any object. So everybody wants the same object, and I want it. When I want it, by the time somebody else grabs it, that's why kama becomes krodha, anger, because he took it what I need. And if he took it illegally, my anger will go up also. So the unhappiness is because of kama is krodha. Kama becomes a krodha when kama is not satisfied. Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhavaha, because of rajoguna. So that the anger itself turned into the desire itself turns into anger, and in the anger is essentially one can lose the discriminative intellect and behaves like a worse than an animal also. So that's because of the lack of discrimination, lack of viveka, because that covers the viveka and people behave in a very odd way. So dukkha bhavadi rupena prokta esha chaturvidha. There are four aspects involved in this any objective knowledge, in any vritti jnanam. Here we are talking about vritti jnanam. So here in a way it's similar to vritti jnanam, because you have to go and there you have your teacher is teaching, you have to pay attention, and there are other students along with it, and there are more people. There are people who know very better than what you are, or they know they faster compared to you, and you feel comparing these. Hey, I'm not able to learn. All these are part of the dukkham, same as any other learning chemistry or physics. So dukkha bhavadi rupena prokta esha chaturvidha. So any knowledge of this involves vritti jnanam. So you have to go and study, and it involves the analysis, all that is required for even Vedanta also. So it's not people say this is all intellectual, we need to do, this is not what we want to go directly to that understanding of it. Says you cannot, because this is a vritti jnana, that's called vritti vyapti is there, but there is no phala vyapti. So difference between objective knowledge versus this knowledge is one, both have a vritti jnanam, called vritti vyapti, but in this case we have no phalam, because you are directly is the fruit, whereas in the other case you are gaining something. This we will analyze when we come back. This we stop here. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।